residential apartments. And as we were passing the telephone booth, one person stepped out. He said, "Excuse me, sir, one lady wants to talk to you." I said, "Who's that? I don't know anybody." He said, No, it's important. She wants to talk to you, please. Please stop a minute and talk to her." So I took the phone. This is in the middle of the street, right on the sidewalk. We stopped our Sankirtan, and I said, "Hello?" And she said, "You don't know me, but I know you." So I didn't say anything. She said, "Every week, exactly at the same time, you come by here chanting with your bells and singing." So I was right there. I had a doubt. I thought she was going to report us or something to the police, you know. And she said, and then there was a pause, and then she said, "Last week, I was on the roof of my building, and I was going to commit suicide by jumping off. But just as I was going to jump, you came by so happily, so full of joy, and singing your Hare Krishna, that you gave me a new hope to live. Basically, you saved my life." She said, "I want you to come up to my apartment now and sanctify it by chanting in my apartment." So I was overwhelmed. I couldn't believe it. We never realized that in those days the power of the holy name of Krishna. You can't really realize it until you actually do Harinam Sankirtan. So we went up to her apartment. She had the penthouse apartment. She obviously was a very wealthy lady. A penthouse apartment in Paris costs millions and millions of dollars. And she sat us down. She served us some juice. She spoke nicely. And then she said, "Now I want you to sing." So we did what we know how to do. We don't know differential calculus. We don't know anthropology, geology, zoology. We don't know any of the ologies, but we know mantrology.
Haribol.
We know how to chant Hare Krishna. So we began to chant. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And we just chanted for about half an hour. The lady was very, very pleased. So she became a friend of our movement after that. And because of her, we were able to meet Cardinal Danielou, the chief cardinal of the entire Catholic Church in France, and arrange a meeting between Srila Prabhupada and him. And she opened the doors for us for many different things in those days. That was all due to simply chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, so next. This was Srila Prabhupada's card, his Hare Krishna card, not his business card, but his Hare Krishna card. So it says, okay, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. Prabhupada registered ISKCON as an official American charity in 1966. And his official title was His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A.C. stands for Abhay Charan. Abhaya in Sanskrit means no fear. And Charan means that he is living by the mercy of Krishna. Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. So Bhakti Vedanta means that he has understood that the ultimate teaching of the Vedas is to attain pure bhakti for Krishna. Therefore he received the title Bhakti Vedanta. And just like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, that yoginam apisarve sammad gatanantaratmanam shadamam bhajate yomam same yuktutamo matak. And of all the yogis, he who abides in me with pure love and devotion, always engaged in my service, unfaltering in dedication, he is the greatest yogi of all. Yoginam apisarve sammad gatanantaratmanam shadavam bhajate yomam. So this Shadavam Bhajate, he has full faith that simply by doing budget service to Krishna, he can attain perfection in life. So this, therefore, Prabhupada got the name Bhakti Vedanta. Vedanta means the finality or the conclusion of the entire Vedic knowledge, and that is Bhakti. And Swami means he has control of his senses, and Prabhupada means he is the master at whose feet all other masters are sitting. So he received this wonderful title because of his dedication. Total dedication to spreading Krishna consciousness. So there was an album made, Every Town and Village, in 1972, and it presented the Hare Krishna mantra and the fulfillment of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Prithivite Achayata Nagara Digrama Sarvatma Prachur Haibe Moranama. The purpose of Lord Chaitanya's mission of chanting Hare Krishna is to spread it to every town and village in the world. And it says, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan movement, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together. Thus the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death, is extinguished. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it helps us to have a taste of the full nectar for which we are always anxious. So in other words, the entire, there's a place called Haridwar, right? Haridwar, but it's actually Haridwar. Dwar means door, Hari means the Supreme Lord who takes away all the miseries of life. So Haridwar is actually supposed to be the door to the spiritual world. And it's the beginning of the Himalayas. So, the real Haridwar, the real door that opens up to the spiritual world, is chanting Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Because it is the prime benediction for all humanity. It spreads the rays of the benediction moon is Chandra Shekhara, the mercy of the moon-like incarnation of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he appeared on the full moon night. Therefore he's called Chandrasekhara. So, or Chandrodaya. He's the moon of mercy, full moon of mercy, spreading Krishna consciousness. So in 1972, Prabhupada started a Gurukula, and in our Dallas temple, that temple is still there. And they were able to find a 500-year-old deity, Kalachandji Krishna, in India, and somehow or other they were able to export the deity to the United States. Actually, it's against the law to take antiques out of Krishna out of India, but somehow at that time they were able to do it. So this is a very special deity, very beautiful, very big, like 6 feet at least. And you can see it. Okay, next. So then Prabhupada, when his movement started to become established in the United States, he started to travel extensively. He went around the world 11 times in 11 years. His preaching mission lasted only 11 years. He arrived in the United States when he was 70 years old, and he left his body when he was 81. And in 11 years, he opened up hundreds of temples, printed hundreds of millions of books, over 160 titles, in over 150, 200 different languages, and spread the movement all over the world, to every continent of the world, in 11 short years, and then he left. So you can see a 70-year-old man going around the world 11 times, opening up temples, having to deal with nonsense people like myself, training us to become devotees. It's not an easy thing. And writing all those books. He wrote all those books, 160 titles in just 11 years. He engaged everyone in very intensive Krishna Bhakti. So then he opened the Radha Krishna temple in London. No, that's not the right date. it opened in 1969. That's when I joined the temple. I joined the temple in 1969, the day after Prabhupada had installed the deities and he left. And I came the day after. And when he was doing the deity Pran Pratishta ceremony, they had made the temple in such a way that Radha and Krishna were like you're seeing here, but above them were Baladev, Subhadra, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra on a pedestal above the deities. And at that time, while he was doing the Pran Pratishta, the whole pedestal caved in. And Jagannath, Subhadra, and Baladev were going to fall, and Prabhupada immediately, in an instant, grabbed the pedestal and held it with his hands. It was like instantaneous. Otherwise, everything would have been a catastrophe. And at that time, it was like a miracle how Prabhupada acted so quickly and saved the day from disaster. So these deities, Radha and Landanishwara, are the deities, first deities I ever saw of Radha and Krishna, and the ones that helped me to fix my faith in Krishna consciousness. They're very, very beautiful, and the devotees had rented a building. Actually, George Harrison, one of the Beatles, had rented the building for the devotees. And they converted the ground floor into a temple. It was small, and the builder of the temple was a devotee named Sham Sundar Das, and he was an excellent carver of wood. And he carved the first Jagannath deities, beautiful deities. And the whole temple room was a carved, upside-down boat. He got these beautiful, big pieces of wood, and they were wood from an old boat. And they were rounded pieces of wood. So he put that on the ceiling. He was a brilliant guy, brilliant devotee, and it looked like the bottom of a boat was the ceiling. And it created a very solemn, spiritual atmosphere. And he completely soundproofed the whole temple, and they had a very thick, very, very thick carpet, blue, purple carpet on the floor. So when you walked in, you felt as if you left the material world and you entered the spiritual world. The sound in the temple was very special because of echoing off of the wood, and the deities were the focus of everything. Extremely beautiful. And the Prabhupada had a copper Vyasasana, and it was a copper lotus Vyasasana, and the lotus leaves were sheets of copper that had been cut into the form of leaves. It was very, very beautiful. My first service in Krishna consciousness was to polish that copper Vyasasana. It took a long time to do. So then Prabhupada, after opening up London temple, which was a great victory, because previously his godbrothers had come to London in the 1930s to open up a temple, and they failed. And his Gurudev wanted definitely to open up temples in the West, and it had failed. And then his godbrothers gave up doing it. They thought it was not possible. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's guru, had made many important contacts in India, and the leader and British administrator of Bengal was a man called Lord Zetland. And after his term of service was over, he went back to England. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's guru, gave a letter of introduction of one of his disciples who went to London to open a temple. And he went to meet Lord Zetland. And Lord Zetland was very kind to him, because he had been very impressed when he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very, very impressed by his purity and his erudition. And during the meeting, that sannyasi devotee of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was preaching to Lord Zetland, and at one point Lord Zetland said, "And now, Swami, I want to ask you a very important question. can you make us Britishers Brahmins? He said, of course, sir, of course, why not? My lord, it's very easy. Okay, Swami, what should we do? He said, you just have to give up meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit connections outside of marriage, and take up chanting Hare Krishna. And Lord Zetlin started to laugh hysterically and said, Swami, I want to inform you that this is impossible. He said, not only is it impossible, but I would like to inform you that your best men from India come to England to learn how to do these things from us. And he was telling the truth. Like, I have a friend of mine, he's actually a Muslim gentleman from Hyderabad, and he organizes shairi. You know what shairi is, right? It's Hindu or Urdu poetry. And you have to sort of like a Hindu rap or Urdu rap. You have to improvise poetry on the spot on any subject. So they have once a month shairi in his house in Seattle. And he was telling me, and you know, many Hindus come. Of course, they do the shairi in Hindi. We do it in Urdu or sometimes mixed. So, but many, many Hindus come. He said, but they don't come for the shairi. I said, really? He said, why do they come? He said, they come to eat meat in my house. Because my wife is an excellent cook. They don't eat meat in their house. They come to my house to eat meat. So he was saying this, and you know, it was a little comical, but it was a little black humor, as they say. He's saying the Hindus don't eat meat in their house. They come to my house to eat meat. And the excuse is the shairi. He said, my wife is a very good cook. She can take a piece of meat and make it taste like amrit. Right, you know, he's born in India. He knows all the words. So the Lord Zetlin is basically saying the same thing. He said, Swami, not only it's impossible for us, but your best people, your best educated people in India come here to learn from us how to do these four things. Eat meat, drink, philander, gamble, all those good things that high-class people do in England. But then when Prabhupada opened his temple in England, the first Radha Krishna temple, a miracle happened. So many young Britishers, boys and girls, joined the movement. Started chanting Hare Krishna. George Harrison became a supporting member of the movement. And people couldn't believe it, how the British kids were chanting Hare Krishna in the streets with shaved heads. White people, not Indians, white people chanting Hare Krishna. It was unbelievable. And the same thing happened in America. So Prabhupada created the Hare Krishna revolution. The tsunami of Sankirtan went all over the world, to every part of the world. In fact, I told the story, I'll tell it again very quickly. In 1973, I went to a very small remote town in North Africa, in Morocco, called Marrakesh. And I was dressed like this, and I had a shaved head, of course. And when I arrived in the town center, it was a very small town, it was a very medieval town of Islamic culture. And when I got off, it was around 10 o'clock at night. As soon as I stepped off the temple, I heard, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. I thought I was hallucinating. This is in a very small Muslim town in North Africa, thousands of miles away from India. And this is 1973. I don't think they had ever seen someone like me dressed in these robes. The first thing I hear is Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. And I thought it was in a dream. And this is like 10 o'clock at night. I walked around trying to find the person. It was an Arab, Muslim. And I couldn't speak Arabic at that time, but I spoke French. And I asked her, how do you know Hare Ram, Hare Krishna? I saw the movie. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Damari Dam. He said, you want to buy some hashish? I said, no, I don't want to buy any hashish. But you see, Prabhupada was able to spread the movement even in the Islamic world. Even though that movie was making fun of the devotees, when Prabhupada was told about it, he asked, do they repeat the name Krishna in the movie? Hare Krishna in the movie? They said yes. He said, then it's all right. And you can see why. It went all over the world. Hindi movies were shown everywhere in the world at that time, especially in the Islamic world and in Soviet Russia, because at that time, Bollywood movies were not like they are today, all full of crime and nonsense. In those days, they had nice themes: how much a son loves his mother, how much mother loves her son, spiritual themes, family-oriented themes. It was very, very beautiful, and beautiful singing. So they would show those films even in the communist countries and all over the Islamic world. Even though there were Hindi films, they would show them in the Islamic world because the messages were good. Of course, now they don't show the films anymore because the messages are nonsense. So, okay, so then 1974 was a monumental year that went from Haight-Ashbury to the beach, and there were 10 to 20,000 people, young hippies. They all came. It was a gigantic festival, and it was a turning point in Krishna consciousness. From that point on, it was definitely a fact that there was a Hare Krishna revolution going on in America, and starting in Europe, and also starting in India. Starting in India. So this festival was amazing. Then in 1974, Prabhupada opened his first temple in India, in Vrindavan, the Krishna Balaram Mandir. It was a glorious, well, the first temple was in Mayapur, Bengal, and then the second temple was in Vrindavan, and then the third was Bombay. So when Prabhupada was in India, before he came to America, he did not have much success. As you know, people say there's so many Babas, it's just another Baba. So when he was building the first temple in Mayapur, Mayapur is a very remote place in Bengal, over 90 miles north of Bengal, going toward Bangladesh. And it was just full of paddy fields and a few temples there. And there was nothing there, basically. And when Prabhupada was able to buy some land, there was one Muslim man. Mayapur is full of Muslims, but they're very devotee-friendly. And one Muslim man agreed to sell him land. None of the Hindus wanted to sell him land. But one Muslim man sold him some land. And he built the first temple. So when they were building it, some reporter from the Times of India came, and he was questioning Prabhupada. He says, Swamiji, he said, you know, our India is struggling. There are very rich countries in the world, America, European countries, but India is struggling. And we already have so many temples. Why are you building another temple? We don't need temples. We need cooperative business ventures. You're opening up factories to make nuts and bolts and technology. Why are you building a temple? So Prabhupada said two things. First of all, he said, why are you coming to interview me? There are thousands of sadhus and babas on the bank of the Ganges. Why don't you go to them and interview them? He said, well, Swami, we wanted to come in. He said, you're interviewing me because I'm building the temple. A big temple here in Mayapur. He said, and secondly, let me ask you a question. Do you have any children? He said, yes, I have one son. Why are you having children? There are so many children in India, there's overpopulation. So, but Swamiji, I want to have my own child. Now you know why I'm building the temple. So Prabhupada shut him up. That was Prabhupada. He was able to do that in an incredible way, with a few words to catch the kernel of truth in any issue, and to be able to convince even the most ferocious opposition to either accept or at least keep quiet. So this Krishna Balaram temple was a miracle. Even to today, it's called the Angrez temple. In other words, white people's English temple. But people couldn't believe it, that these white people had come to India, and of all places, Vrindavan, and were chanting Hare Krishna, shaved heads, tilak, chanting japa, worshipping the deities. They couldn't believe it. It was, you know, people would go like this when they'd see the devotees. They couldn't believe their eyes. Because they were all trying to become like the Americans, you know, technology, bebop, music, eating meat. And the Americans are becoming like the sadhus in India. So it created a sensation. And, go ahead, one more. And at one time, there was a deity being sold in a big store in San Francisco. What's the name of this? Costco, or one of these, not Costco, but Cargo or something like that. And they had this deity, and the devotees had never seen the Krishna deity before. So they bought it, and they brought it back and showed it to Prabhupada. He said, "Oh, this is Kartamisha." And he told the deities, he told the devotees, there were no deities at that time. You know, we had not installed anything. This is in the early, okay, this is in Montreal, but anyway, it was the early days. Before that, Kartamisha came in San Francisco, and then later on here in Montreal. So Prabhupada began to install deities like these Radha Krishna deities. In fact, the Seattle temple was opened in 1968. It was the 4th temple opened in the United States. And it was an amazing thing. He was making Western people Brahmins to engage in deity worship. And his godbrothers and many Indian sadhus really objected to this. But Prabhupada knew the power of the holy name of Krishna. If Rama accepted Vibhishan, right? And Vibhishan was chanting the name of Rama. In fact, when Hanuman had snuck into the palace of Ravana, trying to find Sita Devi, he went through Ravana's personal bedroom. He didn't find her. Then he thought, oh my God, I must have committed a sin. I was looking at another man's wives. Ravana had many wives, including Mandodari. Looking at them while they were sleeping in his private bedroom. I'm very sinful. Then he said, no, actually I'm not sinful, because I was not looking at them for my personal pleasure. I was only looking for Sita. And when I didn't find her, I immediately left without any other objective. So then he continued looking through the palace of Ravana, and he came upon a Tulsi plant. He said, what is this? Tulsi is the beloved plant of Vaishnavas, of devotees. Why is she in Ravana's palace? Only devotees worship Tulsi. Then he thought to himself, there must be some devotee in this palace. And then he entered the room of Vibhishan, bedroom of Vibhishan. He was sleeping. He said, look at this terrible Rakshasa. He was sleeping, and he heard, Ram, Ram. He wasn't going, he was going, Ram, Ram. He said, the Rakshasa is chanting